This is a story of a Harley-Davidson RR250 I had the chance to buy and didn't for pretty much money reasons. Guy had called the dealer. I guess parts got the call, and they switched the call back to me for whatever reason. I don't know. So I picked it up, and I figured it's just another customer wanting something to do with machine work or something. So I picked the phone up, and I'm talking to the guy. Just like, yeah, what do you want, man? And he goes, oh, I have a 71, 72 Harley-Davidson RR250, whatever year it was, early 70s. RR250 for sale, race bike. I'm like, cool. What do you want for it? He tells me, he doesn't tell me at first. He's like, it runs. I've got spare frame, spare swing arm, shocks, wheels, forks, spare transmission, spare cases, spare cylinders, head, carburetors, electrics, everything. So right off the bat, I'm thinking it's going to be some stupid amount of money. This guy's going to want $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 for it, even back then. These things are rare, very rare. So he tells me what he wants for it. It was stupid money. It was like $3,500. And, I'm like, got his phone number and address and all that stuff, and set up a time to go look at it. Because, if somebody calls you up and they've got this really rare bike, and, you don't know anything about it because no internet, so no pictures, nothing. You don't know it's some crackpot that's got a Sprint with a fancy paint job on it or whatever. Set up a time, go meet the guy. Wasn't that far away, it was like under a 2-hour drive. When you're going to look at stuff, you kind of judge the area you're going to. And, fairly nice area, nice house, nice garage, all that stuff. And go outside, or went into the garage with the guy, and bike's, it's not pristine, it's like race pristine, meaning you can tell it's been used. Got a little rash on it here and there, but it's complete. Guy wheels it out of the driveway, had it on the stand, wheels it out of the driveway, turns the gas on, pushes it down the driveway, fires right up, takes off down the road, rides around a couple of times, comes back. He's like, you want to take it for a spin? I'm like, hell yeah. So I go out and ride it, and I'm kind of dogging it up and down the street there, hitting every gear, make sure it shifts through all the gears, clutches are good, everything. Handles good, shocks work, forks work, ignition works, carburetion's fairly crisp, and looks good. So he's like, I got all these spares with it, and he's pulling the spares out, and he's got them cataloged in a damn book, little handwritten book with part numbers next to them, which I guess were old Harley part numbers for this thing. And I asked him, I'm like, well, how'd you get this thing? He's like, oh, this is my dad's bike. I'm like, did your dad race it? Nah, he got it on some kind of deal. I'm like, oh, okay. So I have no history on this bike of who raced it, who it belonged to, because you couldn't just go into a dealer and say, yeah, I want to buy a 71 RR250 or 72 or whatever. It just didn't happen that way. You had to know somebody to get a bike because it's a homologation. They only made so many a year, and that was it, just enough to race. And that was the last bike, not this particular bike, but the RR250 was the last time Harley-Davidson competed in a Grand Prix and won. It was like 72, 71, 72 maybe. And I think Gene Romero still raced one as a privateer and won the 350, and I want to say 74 and 75, somewhere in there, racing this Harley, which was actually doing good because this was the model that still had drum brakes on the front, so it was an earlier one. Still look pretty. Anyway, I didn't have the money for it. You know, it was only $3,500, but that was my race budget for the year. And I sure as hell wasn't going to blame my race budget on a bike. You know, I'm a poor motorcycle mechanic, so I can go racing. I can have a place to live, or I can buy this bike and do absolutely nothing with it because I won't be able to afford anything else. So I didn't buy it. Later that year, October, November, into those months, I had to go to service school at in Milwaukee at the Harley school there, service school. I guess they call it Harley-Davidson University now or whatever. So I'm in there, go to lunch, and take a break and go upstairs. On the fourth floor, I think it is where the shop is, the restoration shop. So I go up there to the restoration shop to see Ray. He's the restorer for Harley. And he's always got all kinds of cool shit in there, shit you're not even supposed to see. You know, overhead cam Sportsters from the 50s, early 60s. He's got a RR250 spread out on a freaking table, big table. Frames over here, front ends over here, engines torn apart into a million pieces right here. And I asked him what he's doing. He's like, I'm trying to scrounge up some gears for the transmission because one of them's got a tooth broken off of it. I was like, man, that's too bad. So I relate the story to him about the guy calling me up. And he's like, man, I'd have given you $3,500 just for the transmission. I was like, damn. He wants me to get the guy's phone number. I'm like, Ray, I'll have to call you when I get home. Well, let me call the guy and see if he's still got the bike. I get back home, get the guy's phone number, call him from my house, see if he still got the bike. Nah, he sold it already. Go figure, right? So, you know, I'm not punking the guy who you sold it to. Just, you know, that you sold it, that's enough. So, figured probably a collector bought it. It would have to be a collector or somebody wanting to race one. So I called Ray up and I'm like, nah, it's already gone, man. Of course, he's like, well, do you know who he sold it to? Nah, he didn't tell me that. Probably Team Obsolete or somebody like that. Or you don't know. Could have sold it to anybody. Who knows? Stuff like that. Anyway, that's the story of the Harley-Davidson RR250 that I missed out on. That, like I said, I couldn't have absolutely done nothing with, even if I had it. Because I couldn't afford to go anywhere. Except for the race, maybe one or two vintage events local. But neither here nor there. We've all had stuff we should have bought that didn't. Could have bought that didn't. You know, the John Player Norton I missed out on. Or the clone of a John Player Norton. I don't think it was original. Or it could have been, I don't know. Didn't bother looking up serial numbers and finding out because didn't have the money for that either. Or the CRTT. Harley-Davidson CRTT. Didn't buy that either. Anyway, that's the RR250 that I missed out on. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope everybody has a great week. And watch out for deals. There's still some out there. Well, not like this one. You ain't finding another one of those. For, you know, you might find another one for 50 grand or 60 grand or whatever, but you ain't finding one for no $3,500. It actually runs and has all the spares with it. Now, granted, that's 30-something years ago. Hope everybody has a good week. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Old subscribers, thanks. New subscribers, thanks. Everybody, I really appreciate you watching. Anybody, take care. Have a great week.